Any other questions from council? Dave?
Just to comment on Mr. Delavar's discussion item there. I had the same concern, and on his recommendation, ditto.
Thank you. Other items? Okay, we've got a motion and a second to authorize the mayor to sign the Watley Pit Recycling Facility Agreement Extension. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. And Mr. Evers, Agenda Bill 5910, the addition of the new off-leash dog park regulations to the Washougal Municipal Code.
Thank you. Staff to submit additional language to Washougal Municipal Code 0.08.040 impoundment required when paragraph B in the reference to the introduction of the new off-leash dog park. This addition to the code addresses usage of newly opened Stevenson off-leash dog park by owners, animals in a controlled area where the animals are permitted to roam off of their leashes. Recommended action. So read ordinance by title only, pass, post, and publish in the usual manner.
Mr. Mayor, I would move to read the ordinance by title only.
Second.
I've got a motion and a second to read the ordinance by title only.
Well, all right. Mr. Mayor, I move to strike the words owner be under vocal and insert the words owner or custodian be under the owner or custodians in the third sentence. Yes.
That's, if we could,
Certainly, yeah.
let's do that in the second portion of the motion. This one's just to read it by title only.
Oh, I do
That's okay.
apologize. I'm sorry.
Okay, I've got a motion and a second to read the ordinance by title only. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
An ordinance amending Washougal Municipal Code 8.08.040 Sub 2 to add a section authorizing dogs to run at large on certain properties that are designated as off-leash areas and under rules and regulations to be established by the city.
And now I'll entertain a motion.
Mayor, I make a motion to pass, post, and publish in the usual manner.
Second.
I've got a motion and a second to pass, post, and publish the ordinance in the usual manner. Councilman Delabar.
Mr. Mayor, I move to strike the words owner, comma, be under vocal and insert the words owner or custodian, comma, be under the owners or custodians in the third sentence of subsection B. And the,
Do we need to do both of these separately, or?
that's the official motion, but then
Gotcha.
the
Oh, I see.
expanded part
Gotcha.
would be the second part.
You've done this so well.
Oh, sorry.
I've got a motion and a second to amend the wording of the ordinance itself, striking the words owner be under vocal and insert the words owner or custodian to be under the owner or custodians in the third sentence of the subsection. The amended sentence should read, dogs in designated off-leash areas must be accompanied by the owner or custodian, be under the owner or custodian's control, not cause a public nuisance or a safety hazard, including the harassment of people, other dogs, or wildlife.
And Mr. Mayor, I hope that as we go through this, that we spend enough time to make sure that we're very comfortable with the language, because what I noticed with the original language that was put forward was that it only referenced the owner, whereas above in section 1 of the law, it mentions owner or custodian of the dog, which makes sense because people can walk other people's dogs very easily. And if we ignore that fact with the off-leash area, we could perhaps find ourselves with a legal loophole that I don't think we want. And so with this amendment, it would basically recognize two things. One is that a dog can be under the owner or custodian's control. Second thing is that it strikes the word vocal, and I wanted to make sure that we were clear about, and okay with that. Under my understanding, there are many dog trainers who can control their dogs without vocal control, but just hand signals or just, some understanding between the dog and the owner. And it would be better for us just to say, just be under control of your dog. And that's the intent of this amendment.
Other discussion on the amendment? I've got a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. I've also got a motion and a second to pass, post, and publish the amended ordinance. Any comments, discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
We have to do the signs now down there.
No, because it only, actually only gets to the ordinance numbers themselves, thankfully. We are adding some more signage down there, though, but it has nothing to do, well, kind of, sort of does. Don, I'll get you those, the language.
I think RJ's going to take care of that.
Okay, perfect. And Trevor, Agenda Bill 60-10, request to incorporate kinetic metal art elements to the top of the river pilings at Steamboat Landing.
Thanks. Board committed, the park board committed both 2009 and 2010 allotments from their discretionary fund for this project in the amount of $4,000. Park staff is working in conjunction with the Parks Foundation to secure a grant in the amount of $2,500, which will cover the cost of one of the proposed art pieces. Currently, there are no repairs needed to the dock. Should repairs become necessary for any reason, those expenses would be paid out of the operation and maintenance budget. Additionally, staff will be posting a donation page on the website for sculpture sponsoring. Staff anticipates the public and local cooperations will vie to have their names associated with these artworks. The park staff and board agreed to secure all necessary funds through donations prior to work commencing on site. However, should the donations needed for this project not be collected within a minimum of a 12-month period, staff and the Parks Board will revisit the matter and determine available options at that time. The recommended action this evening, authorize park staff to go forward with the implementation of the Steamboat Landing Kinetic Metal Art Elements project and to seek donations for funds. Any needed repairs will be covered from funds taken out of the park's O&M budget.
Mr. Mayor, make a motion to authorize park staff to go forward with the implementation of the Steamboat Landing Kinetic Metal Art Elements project and to seek donations for funds. Any needed repairs will be covered from funds taken out of the park's operations and maintenance budget.
Second?
We've got a motion and a second.
Mr. Mayor? I have a question about this. If I understand correctly, in essence, what's being, expenditure that is required is $16,941. That's the expected expense. And $4,000 coming from the discretionary fund, $2,500 hopefully from the Parks Foundation, and no money from the general budget. Is that correct? Is that
Right.
what's anticipated?
Permission to move forward with pursuing the Parks Foundation grant and then opening the formal donation fund on the website and making that available. But no funds will be spent until we've gathered enough to be able to fund the full project.
So if we do not have enough voluntary donations to fund the gap, then the project will cease? Is that correct?
Right, at that point, staff would come back to council with the budget shortfall, if that's what the case is, and see what the response is with covering that budget shortfall or putting the project on hold.
Right. Well, I reluctantly rise in opposition to the motion. And the main reason why I rise in opposition to the motion is that I believe that the city should not be, I mean, well, I very much appreciate the fact that the Parks Board is allocating discretionary funds and that we're putting in a mechanism for raising money voluntarily. And I